Okay. This is Caroline doing the high school BRI. Okay, just start right here and just read, and then the questions are on the next page, and I'll read them aloud to you. So just try to remember what you're reading.
Sue was visiting her grandparents' farm for a week. She decided to have a picnic in the woods. She packed a lunch with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, an apple, 2 cookies, and grape juice to drink. Sue had put her lunch in her backpack and started out the door when she remembered Jane. She ran back into the house and got Jane, her favorite doll. Sue had a good time in the woods. She walked on small paths that the animals had made. After walking all morning, she was very hungry. At noon, she found a fallen tree and sat on it to eat her lunch. After lunch, Sue found an animal trail that led to a quiet spring. She looked into the water and saw a small fish swimming. She must remember to tell her grandparents about the little fish in the spring. Sue realized that it was time to start back to her grandparents' house, but she didn't know which way to go. Just then she heard rustling in the bushes behind her. She was frightened and started to run. The noise followed her as she ran. It kept getting closer. All of a sudden, something jumped at her. It was Rusty, her grandparents' dog. Sue was so happy to see him, she gave him a big hug. Sue and Rusty returned to the farm just as the sun was setting. Sue's grandparents were worried. Sue promised never to go so deep in the woods again.
Okay. And the questions start here. So I will read you the first question. What is the story about?
A girl in the woods.
Okay. What did Sue take with her into the woods?
Lunch and a doll.
What did Sue bring to eat for her lunch?
Peanut butter and jelly, grape juice, an apple.
Anything else?
I don't remember.
Okay. Where did Sue eat her lunch?
She ate it in the woods.
Okay. What did Sue find in the woods?
She found a dog, her grandparents' dog.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. How did Sue decide where to go? It's okay if you don't remember.
Okay, I don't remember.
Why did Sue start running when she was in the woods?
Sue started running because she heard sounds, and so she got scared and ran.
What do you think Sue thought was following her in the woods?
Probably like a bigger animal that could hurt her.
Why do you think Sue promised to never go so deep in the woods again?
Because she could get lost and then get hurt or something bad could happen.
Explain what a spring means in this sentence. Sue saw a fish swimming in a spring.
It's like a water, like a stream kind of thing.
Good. Okay. Turn and start reading this one now.
Okay. Mother, there's a dragon after me. It won't go away. The next day, when Danny went out, there it was. It roared and blew fire at Danny. It was so big and Danny was so small. Leave me alone. Danny ran down the path to the river and hid behind a rock to see if the dragon was still coming. It was. He had to get rid of that dragon. He went home through the woods. He needed a plan to trick the dragon. In bed that night, Danny made his plan. He had to trick the dragon into the river. He knew the dragon couldn't swim. While it was dark, Danny climbed out his window. He got a rope and tiptoed away from his house. Then he ran to the big rock by the river. Danny laid the rope across the path. He tied one end of the rope to a tree. He laid the other end on the ground behind the big rock. Danny ran home through the woods. There was the dragon lying by his door to the house. Danny climbed quietly in his window to wait. In the morning, Danny went out. Roaring, the dragon blew fire and leaped at him. Danny dodged it and ran toward the river. He flew down the path, dove behind the rock, and grabbed the rope. Down the path came the dragon. Then it tripped on the rope and crashed into the river. The river carried it far, far away.
Okay. What is the story about?
A boy named Danny who is being, captured by a dragon, so he has to trick it.
Okay. When did Danny make this plan?
He made it after the dragon was trapping him.
Okay. What was Danny's plan?
To trip the dragon by putting a rope by the river to get in, because the dragon can't swim.
Okay. How did Danny get out of his house that night?
He climbed through the window.
What did Danny do with the rope?
He put one end by a tree and one end by by a rock.
Okay. Where was the dragon lying?
The dragon was lying by the door, right in front of his house.
Perfect. What did the dragon do to Danny?
It blew fire at him, and he ran.
Okay. What do you think happened to the dragon when it was in the river?
He probably either drowned or he just got carried away.
Okay. What might be another plan you could use to get rid of the dragon?
He could have.
Anything you would do?
He could have just killed it.
Okay. Explain what tiptoed means in this sentence. He tiptoed away from his house.
Like quietly walked away.
Okay. Let's start reading here.
Okay. Jerry, looking at the sky, promised himself, "I'm going to fly someday." Jerry, a 10-year-old boy from a small town in Iowa, had dreamed of flying since he was a little boy. He wasn't just going to fly in an airplane. He was going to fly like a hawk. He spent many hours watching hawks fly. They made it look so easy. With their powerful wings, they built up speed. Then they would glide. It was beautiful and breathtaking watching them ride the air currents. I am going to fly. As he climbed to the top of the cliff, his imagination was far ahead of him, telling him how exciting it would be. At the top, he paused only for a moment. Then he dove off the cliff into the air. This is wonderful. This is better than I had ever imagined. He soared, he dipped, and rose again, riding the air currents. Flying was better than he had imagined. When Jerry awoke, his parents were standing by the hospital bed. The doctor said you will be fine. You will have to miss 2 or more weeks of school because of your tonsil operation. After Jerry's parents left, he thought for a moment. I really felt like I was flying. I could feel cool air blowing through my hair. I saw the landscape below me. Was it a dream or not? If it was a dream, where did he get the brownish hawk feather he was holding?
Okay. What are the questions? What is the story about?
It's about a boy who wants to fly, and then he gets hurt.
Okay, how old is Jerry? Do you remember?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Where did Jerry live?
He lived in Iowa.
Good. What did Jerry spend hours watching?
Hawks.
Good. Why was Jerry in the hospital?
Because he probably fell when he was flying, if he was flying.
Okay, and who came to visit Jerry?
His mom and dad.
How much school will Jerry miss?
2 weeks.
Do you think Jerry really flew?
Well, no, he probably just fell if he jumped.
Okay. Where do you think the hawk feather came from?
I'm not sure. Like a gift from his parents?
Okay. Explain what landscape means in this sentence. Jerry saw the landscape below him.
Like the whole area by him, like the nature.
Okay. Start reading right here.
No.
No, right here.
As Kay got off the passenger train at Brantwood, she was rudely shoved. Turning quickly, she saw a young man elbowing his way through the bustling crowd toward an older woman. As Kay proceeded across the train platform, she saw the older woman trip and tumble to the pavement. The fallen woman's handbag flew open and its content spilled all over the ground. Her suitcase also snapped open and its contents, too, were strewn over the snow. Kay rushed up to help the stunned woman. She was brushed aside by the man who had collided with her earlier. The man assumed charge of the woman's belongings in a most possessive manner. He was short, slender, blond, and had a rosy complexion. Kay picked up the woman's handbag from the snow, but the young man snatched it from her almost as if he'd suspected her of trying to steal it. "Just a minute, please," exclaimed Kay. "I'm just trying to help this lady. May I ask why you are trying to take charge of her things?" "I am her son," retorted the young man unpleasantly as he went on hastily collecting the things which had burst from the suitcase. Kay concentrated on her attention on the woman and tried to help her up. "Where are my purse and my suitcase?" she cried anxiously. "Your son has them," Kay said reassuringly. "Don't worry, he'll bring you everything as soon as he collects it." "My son!" the lady exclaimed sharply. "I have no son."
Okay. Yeah.
Well, get the door.
Well,
Get the door.
Okay, what is the story about?
This is about a woman who falls off a bus or a train, and then a girl named Kay tries to help her.
Okay. Where does the story take place?
On train platform,
What happened when Kay got off the train?
a young woman got an old woman got bumped and fell.
Okay. Describe the young man.
He was blonde, skinny, and tall, and he was reddish.
Okay. What happened when the older woman fell down?
All her things fell everywhere, like her bag and her suitcase.
Okay. What did the young man do when Kay tried to help?
He grabbed all of her stuff, the old lady's stuff away.
Why did the young man think he had the right to pick up the older lady's possessions?
He said that he was her son.
How do you think Kay felt about the young man before and after talking to the older woman?
Before, you mean like when this woman said it wasn't his son?
Before she said that and then after she said it?
Before, she probably thought, like, oh, it's okay, like, it's fine because they're related, but then afterwards, she knew he was, like, a trickster.
So how do you think she felt after?
She probably felt kind of silly that she just believed him.
Okay. What character would you believe, the young man or the older woman?
I believe the older woman because she kind of has more, like, authority.
Okay. Explain what stunned means in the sentence. Kay rushed up to help the stunned woman.
Like, startled and she was scared.
Good. Alright, now if you could start reading Man Overboard.
A sharp sound startled him. Somewhere off in the blackness, someone had fired a gun 3 times. Rainsford sprung up and moved quickly to the rail, mystified. He strained his eyes in the direction from which the reports had come, but it was like trying to see through a blanket. He leaped up onto the rail and balanced himself there to get a greater elevation. His pipe, striking a rope, was knocked from his mouth. He lunged for it. A short, hoarse cry came from his lips as he realized he had reached too far and had fallen overboard. The cry was pinched off as the blood-warm waters off the Caribbean Sea closed over his head. He struggled up to the surface and tried to cry for help, but the wash from the speeding yacht slapped him in the face. The salty water in his open mouth gagged and strangled him. Desperately, he struck out with strong strokes after the receding lights of the yacht, but he stopped before he had covered 50 feet. He calmed down and assessed the situation. It was not the first time he had been in a tough situation. There was a chance that his cries could be heard by someone aboard the yacht, but the chance was slim and grew much slimmer as the yacht continued on. He shouted with all his might. The lights of the yacht became faint, looking like ever-vanishing fireflies. Then they were blotted out entirely by the black night.
Okay, what is this story about?
A boy or an older man that he fell overboard from a yacht.
Okay, what sounds did Rainsford hear?
He heard gunshots
Why was Rainsford standing on the rail?
because he wanted to get a better look at what was going on.
Good. What caused Rainsford to fall overboard?
He was reaching for his pipe and didn't realize he was going too far.
Good. How did the water feel when he fell overboard?
It said like blood warm
Perfect. Why did Rainsford have difficulty crying for help?
because of the water kept pushing him underwater.
Good. About how far did he swim before he stopped?
About 50 feet.
Good. Why do you think that people aboard the yacht didn't hear Rainsford?
The waves were moving so fast.
Good. What would you do if you were in the same situation as Rainsford?
I would probably just try to swim farther.
Okay. Explain what mystified means in this sentence. He moved quickly to the rail, mystified.
Like he wanted to see what was going on. He didn't understand what was happening.
Okay. Start reading here.
Okay. The angel of the candy counter had found me out at last and was demanding extreme payment for all the Snickers, Mounds, Suckers, and Hershey bars. I had 2 huge cavities that were rotten to the gums. The pain was well past the help of crushed aspirins or oil of cloves. Only one thing could help me now, so I prayed earnestly that I'd be allowed to sit under the house and have the entire building collapse on my jaw. Since there was no dentist in Stamps, nor doctor either for that matter, Mama had dealt with other toothaches. She would try yanking them out with a string tied to the tooth and the other end looped over her fist, as well as painkillers and prayer. In this case, the medicine proved ineffective. There wasn't enough enamel left to hook a string on, and the prayers were being ignored because some demon was blocking their way. I lived some days and nights in blinding pain, not so much toying with as seriously considering the idea of jumping in the well. So Mama decided I had to be taken to a dentist. The nearest dentist was in Mason, 20 miles away, and I was sure that I'd be dead before we reached half the distance. Mama said we'd go to Dr. Lincoln, and he'd take care of me. She said we'd have to take the bus. I didn't know of anyone who'd been to see him, but we had to go.
Good. Okay, for the questions, what is the story about?
It's about a boy with that very bad toothache.
Good. What remedies had already been tried to ease the pain?
Like cloves and aspirin.
Good. Why didn't Mama pull the teeth out that were hurting?
Because there wasn't enough enamel to hook the string on.
Good. Why weren't the prayers being answered?
There was a demon in their way.
Good. In what town did the narrator live?
I'm not sure.
It's okay. How far was the nearest dentist from home?
20 miles.
Good. What was the name of the dentist?
Dr. Lincoln.
Don't look at
I didn't
Okay.
see it.
What did this person think was responsible for the pain?
An angel, did it say?
Okay. Why do you think Stamps had no dentist or doctor?
Because it was probably like a less wealthy city.
Good. Explain what earnestly means in this sentence. I prayed earnestly that the house would fall on my jaw.
Like, pleadingly.
Okay. And you are done.
Okay.